From its discovery by the Inca Indians in the 8000 BC, the potato has been feeding people for thousands of years. You can bake it, saute it, chop it up, eat it like an apple, however you please. The potato is not only a viable part of the human diet, but it's also an astoundingly important piece of history. To help further grasp this importance, I would like to explain to you the history of the potato. According to Potatoes USA, the potato was first discovered by the Inca Indians that originated from Peru in about 8000 BC. They then were conquered by the Spanish conquistadors in 1536. This brought it into trade and was eventually found its way to Europe and the British Empire that was ruling at this time. By 1589, a man named Sir Walter Raleigh brought this to the British Isles and introduced it to all over the British Empire. It found its way to Ireland, the vast, unused at the time, pastures of Ireland, which is about 20,000 acres. And it was planted and it flourished there. The reason why this crop has so much value and it's retained its value over time is because it's very carb dense. It gives you a bunch of energy when it's eaten, and it also has a lot of potassium. It actually has twice as much potassium as a banana, if you can believe that, according to the USDA. Now I walked you through the history of the potato, but I'm going to talk to you now about the importance of the history of the potato. So when the potato was first introduced in the 16th century Ireland, it brought something both for them to eat and for them to sell. So Ireland at this time was below the animals that they used to farm. Poverty was flourishing, and they didn't really have a way out because the British Empire was ruling very fiercely. But at this time, 16th century, they brought in the potato, which the British didn't know that it was going to give them a leg up. They started to obtain wealth, or not wealth, I would say more of less. But it eventually gave them a leg up and started to give them a leeway so they didn't have to depend so heavily on the British rule. And this eventually led to them uniting with Scotland, who was in a very, very similar situation. They were very poor. And Ireland and Scotland united, and they came together, and they overthrew the British Empire, and they eventually became the United Kingdom. Not only is the potato a delicious crop that you can eat every meal, it also is a tool to help a whole people get a leg up on tyranny. Next time you see a potato in the grocery store, give it some love. It helped the whole people become free.